This right here, people, is the BMW M340i, and although at first glance you're probably sat there thinking to yourself, Max, that doesn't look like an M340i, that's because you're right, it doesn't. Now normally an M340i has silvery gold accents going on, such as the grills around here, some bits down here, and the wing mirror caps, and that usually distinguished which 3 Series owner had the bigger penis. Now, the M340i is the perfect alternative if either 1, you can't afford the M3, or 2, you wanted something less out there which still offers you 4-wheel drive and a straight 6 engine. So let's see what it's like. I'm Max Attavani and you're watching Driven Plus. When BMW released the G23 series, the first performance of that car was this, the M340i. And for the first time ever, BMW decided not to just call it the 340i, they'd call it the M340i and give it xDrive. And this was seen straight away as the car to do it all, and it definitely set the bar high for the incoming G80 M3. This also replaced the F30 340i in a very good way. You still retained that beautiful B58 engine, but you actually felt somewhat better about yourself for owning this car because it's classed as an M performance car, whereas the old one wasn't. The M340i was a huge upgrade compared to its predecessor. It had better technology such as iDrive 7, and it used a completely new chassis platform called CLAR, which means cluster architecture. And this new chassis compared to the F30 is more planted, stiffer and better balanced as well. Beautiful through these corners here, but of course that all comes at a price, and that price is its weight. It weighs in at 1.8 tons. But I'll be honest, chucking it through these corners here, it doesn't feel that heavy one bit. The M340i is arguably the sweet spot in BMW's lineup. It's not full M car, but it may as well be. It's not trying to be an all-out track weapon like the M3, but it incorporates power, comfort and usability in a better way than the M3. And this also features a legendary engine, the B58, and it's a 3-litre straight 6 turbocharged engine. Now the stock power on this is 369 horsepower and 500 Newton meters of torque. But say you want this car because you want the everyday usability but the power from the M3, no problem. These cars benefit massively from just an ECU flash, which is the case with this car. This has boot mod, stage 1 as we call it, and that gives the car 20% uplift in power and torque. So this now produces around 450 horsepower and 630 Newton meters of torque. Now these are electronically limited to 155 miles per hour, probably not the case with this now because it's been tuned. But BMW say the stock M340i does a 0 to 60 time of 4.1 seconds, but let's see what it'll do now. Right, so it's time to launch the M340i from 0 to 60. On your screen now are the stats and figures on this car, so pause your screen if you want to look into them. Now to put this car in launch control, we've got to have it in Sport Plus, gearbox in S and the traction fully off. Right, so this should be a good time and excited for this. That pulls well, that's quick. 3.25 secons. Well, I think MT is going to be very impressed with that time. I'm really impressed as well. Wow, 3.25 for an M340i with just an ECU flash. We're gonna have to go again. That was on a positive slope as well. Right, time for run number 2. I made a mistake then, so I put the traction fully off. It didn't engage launch control, so I've put the traction half off, and now it's engaged in launch control. So we might actually get a better time here. Let's find out. Well, at 3.3, well, it's very, very close. Let's go for a third run because I really want to beat that 3.25, although it's very impressive. Time for run number 3. All right, here we go. Run number 3. Let's see if we can beat that fantastic time of 3.25. I think we're going to struggle, but let's see. 3.33. Well, it's still fantastic. Well, how consistent is that time? And that's a great advert for you to tune your M340i. It's just so good at putting the power down. Well, anyway, that's what it stacks up against, and let's go back to the review. Now, moving on to the interior of the M340i, and this is one of my favourite BMW interiors they have ever produced. Now, this is the pre-facelift G20 3 Series, and I think the interior on this is more usable than the facelift, which comes with the iDrive 8, basically with the two massive screens, which looks fantastic, but I prefer the everyday usability of iDrive 7, which is this one here. It's just easier to use, it's simplified, but it just means it's still touchscreen, it's still fantastic. But let's move on. Let's start with the steering wheel first. It's great to hold. You've got the flappy paddles behind there, and it's also heated, which is fantastic. And behind that sits a digital driver's display, which says M340i. So every time you get in the car, it does remind you that you are sat in something special. And behind that sits a heads-up display, which is a great feature. Moving on to the door card, down here you get Harman Kardon sound system, so that works very well. And you also get blue ambient lighting. I'm pretty sure you can change the color of that as well. Moving on to the infotainment system, as I mentioned before, this is iDrive 7. It's touchscreen, but you can also control it via the iDrive controller down here. And it also comes with, when I can get it up, Apple CarPlay, which is fantastic, and it's full screen as well, so that's very usable. And I like the fact with the pre-facelift G20 3 Series, it comes with all the buttons as well, which is just easier to use, and I prefer it. Down here you get two cup holders with a USB socket and a 12-volt socket as well, and behind that you get a wireless charging pad for your phone. Moving on to the center console, you get your iDrive controller. I like how this is laid out. It's very good, and here's your gear shift selector, and next to that you get all your driver modes such as Sport, Comfort, Eco Pro, and this car comes with adaptive suspension, which is another fantastic feature. Now, moving on to the seats. Really comfortable, great for going on long journeys, and you do really sink into them, and they feel the leather used is very nice. I'm talking about all the materials used as well. It feels premium. It does feel like you are sat in something premium, and which is what you expect for an M340i. Now, what about internal storage units? Well, let's have a look in here. That's a great size. You also get a USB-C socket as well. Door cards are a great size. You also get a bit of a cup holder there as well, and the glove box is also a very good size. Now let's take a look at the M340i's boot space. It's the biggest in its class, coming in at 480 litres, and the touring version comes with 500 litres. So if practicality really is your main concern, buy the touring version. Now, if you want to watch my review on an M340i Touring, click on the pop-up banner now. Now, driver, can we please start the car up? Ooh, that's got a nice burble. Okay, let's rev it in comfort mode first. Nice B58 tone there. What about if we put it in Sport Plus and try again? Keep it coming all the way. There we are. Now, how good does that sound? Let's get back onto the road. So one thing which stands out to me the most when buying an M340i is its engine. You put your foot down and it just urges you to push on and let the engine rev out. It makes a beautiful noise whilst doing that as well. And the good thing is, because this has xDrive, every time you do put your foot down, you know this is just going to deliver the performance. It's very addicting, it really is. It's a very well balanced car, this. But you just cannot help to chuck this thing around and listen to that straight six noise. You have a listen. And while the steering is nice and light, which makes it great for everyday driving, one place where I think it lacks is a bit of feedback. Say you're pushing on, it's very precise because it's quite light, but you do lack a bit of feedback as to what the front wheels are doing. But for me, that's a minor issue. So its xDrive system is rear bias, so it does maintain that signature drive you get from a proper BMW. Now, under normal driving conditions like we are here, it's sending around 60 to 70% of its power to the rear wheels. Now, when the system detects slip, it can then send up to 50% of the power to the front wheels. Now, when you put the car in its most sportiness setting, the system will prioritize sending as much power as it can to the rear wheels. But one major difference between this and the M3 is the fact that the M3 is switchable. You can put it in rear wheel drive mode, whereas in this, you can't do that. And you cannot get these cars with a manual gearbox. And personally, I don't think that would be the best choice, because this 8-speed auto box is fantastic. Combined this ZF torque converter with the B58 engine, oh, it's absolutely fantastic. And it's lovely and smooth when you're just taking your time and wafting about. But let's say we want to put the car in manual mode and you want to change the gears yourself. Let's go down to second gear, 40 miles per hour. Now, bear in mind, this engine has been tuned, but the gearbox is stock. Let's see what it's like. Very, very fast changes. And if I was to be honest, I'm not really missing that gearbox being tuned. It's fine, standard. Very responsive on the downshifts. Let's come out this tight corner here and apply the throttle. It pulls so well, this. Oh, this is a fast car. This thing is a weapon, and it's a sleeper as well, to be fair, because from the front it just looks like a 320d or 320i. And the beauty about this car is that it's just got the right mix of everything. It's got a fantastic engine which delivers you fantastic performance, but this car isn't just good at going fast. Turn all the sporty features off and it becomes this really refined saloon car which you could go for miles in. And if you opt for the M3, that car will be better at performance and handling. There's no doubt about that. But that also delivers you quite a harsh ride. Whereas with the M340, I love how it combines everyday use and practicality with performance. And if you're looking to buy a car, well, the one car to do it all, use it every day, take it out on the weekend and have a bit of a blast, then look no further than the M340i. And of course, you're always going to get those people saying, you should have bought an M3. Who cares? This is actually better than an M3 in certain aspects. It's more comfortable, it's cheaper to buy and maintain, and at times this does give you a pretty similar driving experience compared to an M3. So I actually do think the M340i is better value compared to the M3. However though, I do know this is not a better performance car, but it's the better all-rounder. And I also do think this is the best in its class. Now, I'm not just saying this because people think I'm BMW biased. I'm not. I've just had a lot of opportunities recently to review BMW cars. And if you've got an Audi, Mercedes or anything else, please get in touch. I'd love to review them. But I think when you compare this against the Audi S4, S5 or Mercedes C43, I think when you put the M340i in the equation, it's a no-brainer. I think it just does everything better. It's as simple as that. But I'd like to say a massive thanks to MT for letting me review this M340i today. And this M340i has actually been featured on CarWow going against the new S5 and the new C43. And guess what? The older BMW won, which proves my point, by the M340i. But I'd like you to leave a like on the video, please subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you soon. Thanks guys, have a good day, bye bye.